Hi, I'm Angie, and this is another edition of DIY Homesteading with Missouri River Regional Library. Today, we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to show you how to make yogurt and then some lovely granola to go on it. So the first thing is yogurt. Now you're probably thinking, homemade yogurt? Who makes their own yogurt? You are going to be astounded at how easy it is. If you're like me, I love yogurt for breakfast. I've eaten yogurt with granola for breakfast for years. I'm always buying the little bitty packages, and you buy enough for a couple weeks, and then you're like, why? Why am I spending all that money when all you really need for yogurt is milk? That's it, milk and a few other things, and you can make your own yogurt for way less than what you buy. Now, there's different kinds of yogurt, of course. You can do the regular kind that you buy, or you can do Greek yogurt, and this recipe will let you do either of those. My favorite is Greek yogurt. I like the thicker, creamier yogurt, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the thing with yogurt is even though it's super simple, it takes a long time. This is not a fast process. You have to heat milk, cool milk, let it sit, let it get into a yogurty consistency, and it does take a while. So do this on a weekend or sometime when you have a lot of spare time, because you will want to spend some time with it. The nice thing though is, even though it takes a long time, it actually doesn't take very much of your time. So it's super easy. You can make yogurt on the stove. There's lots of other recipes out there. I'm going to show you how to make it in a crock pot, because that's the kind of cook I am. I don't want to spend a lot of time with stuff. I want it fast, easy, and simple. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make some yogurt, and then I'm going to show you how to make granola to put on top of it. All right, to make yogurt, you just need a few simple ingredients. The main one is milk. So we use a whole milk because in our family we like the thick, creamy Greek style yogurt, and so you want a little bit more fat in your yogurt. You can also use skim milk. You can use 2%. It's just your personal preference. Then you need sugar, vanilla, and yogurt. Yogurt, you say? Yes, I do say. So this is our homemade yogurt, and it is what is called your yogurt starter. And you need the bacteria in yogurt in order to make your milk into yogurt. So we store our yogurt in quart jars in the refrigerator and then just scoop out what we need every day. You can store yours however you want. If you don't have homemade yogurt in your fridge as your yogurt starter, you can buy just a single serving of plain yogurt, and that will work as your starter. You also need a thermometer, because regulating the temperature of your milk while it turns into yogurt is very important. So you can either use a digital thermometer or like a candy frying thermometer. I probably wouldn't use a meat thermometer because it doesn't go to high enough temperature. You want one that goes to at least 180 degrees, which is the temperature you want your milk to get to in order to make it into yogurt. So either of these work. Then you want your crock pot. We are using kind of an older school crock pot that just does high-low on it. You can use your programmable one and set times and stuff, but we found that the high setting on this one works just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our milk into the crock pot. That is step one of this whole process. So you're going to put your crock pot on high, and we're going to carefully pour the milk. Now, this is a part that takes a while because you have probably taken your milk out of the refrigerator and it's cold. Now, if you let it sit and get a little more room temperature, then this process may take a shorter amount of time, but we're using cold milk, and it's going to take it a while to get hot. But the nice thing is that it's in the crock pot and you can just turn it on and leave it. You know that it's going to be a couple hours before it gets up to temperature, and that's fine. So we're gonna keep this on high, and we'll let this sit for a little bit. It'll come up to temperature, and then we'll be ready for step two. All right, while our yogurt is cooking, I am gonna show you how to make a simple granola. And then you see all these ingredients and you're like, how simple is it if it takes all of this? Well, the nice thing about granola is that you can customize it to however you want it to taste. We are a nutty group. Does that surprise you? I don't think so. We like nuts in our granola. That's my favorite kind of granola. So different kinds of nuts, some peanut butter, add a little chocolate at the end. Perfect. So the basis of granola, though, is your oats. You want some rolled oats. And I am doing a big batch of granola. Because like I said, my mom and I share our yogurt and granola. We all eat it every day and we go through a lot of it. So this is a big batch recipe. It calls for 8 cups of oats, which I'm gonna pour into my bag, my bowl here. And then we are gonna add a bunch of nuts. So the thing with granola is that it's not a precise recipe. You can customize this, like I said, to however you want. So if you like no nuts, don't put any nuts in it. If you like dried fruit, put dried fruit in it. So it's all about your taste. Now, this is how we make it though. So I've got my oats, and then I've also got ground up pecans and walnuts. Now, these are heart healthy, and my doctor told me I should eat walnuts. I don't actually like the taste of walnuts. I know you're surprised to hear that. So I grind them up in the little food processor, and I put the ground up pecans and walnuts in here. And that way the goodness of it is in there, but I don't have to taste the big old chunks of pecans or walnuts. So there is that. Now, what else are we gonna put in here? You need something to keep it together. You can't just have dried yogurt, or oops, not yogurt, dried granola with your yogurt, because then it won't stay together. So what we're gonna put in is a combination of coconut oil, honey, and peanut butter. I'm doing about a cup of each of these. The coconut oil and the peanut butter, I've heated up a little bit just so they're a stirring consistency, because otherwise, you know, they're kind of solid and it's hard to stir that. So what you do is you just pour these over your oats. Like I said, this is a big batch. Now, if you are not that into granola and do not want this huge amount of granola at the end of the day, you can make however much you want. So you could cut this in half, use 4 cups of oats, half a cup of your liquids, whatever makes you happy and whatever you want to eat. Now, if you don't want to do honey, you can also use maple syrup. You don't have to use coconut oil. You could use a different oil if you wanted. We have just found that coconut oil and honey with some peanut butter, because I mean, seriously, peanut butter makes everything better, doesn't it? Is the way we like our granola. Now, I am using just a generic, cheap peanut butter. I probably wouldn't use this on my toast very often, but in yogurt or any kind of baking, really, the generic stuff is fine. So, got all of this in here. Oh, it looks so good. It smells good too. I wish you could smell it, because the smell of the peanut butter and the honey is delicious. And then we are just going to stir this up so that we get all of our oats coated in our liquids. And if you are experimenting with amounts, and you're not quite sure what consistency you want, you can always add more. You know, add more honey, add more oil. If you like a stickier granola, that would be fine. But we're gonna try to get this all stirred in, because I don't like dry oats. I want them all covered in the peanut butter and the honey. And then once we get it fairly well incorporated, I'm gonna add some additional things. So like I said, you can make this however you want. I'm going to put a few almonds in here. We like almonds. Like I said, we're a nutty group. Almonds make us happy. So, and there's no precise measurements. I'm just putting however many I want. I also like some pumpkin seeds, pepitas. And add some pepitas. They add a nice crunch to your granola. And then, oops, look at that. Some have tried to run away. And then I'm gonna do some sunflower seeds. Now, I am gonna add chocolate, but I'm not gonna do that until the very end, because if you add the chocolate in while you're baking it, what happens? All your chocolate melts. That's right. It's all gonna be melted, and then you don't have any actual chocolate chips. And even though I like all the nuttiness of this granola, I also like the sweetness of the chocolate, which is also why I add all the honey in here too. So I want my chocolate to kind of remain in its chip form, which is why I'll put it in at the end, and you'll see that. But right now, we're going to incorporate this nutty granola all together, and then we're going to bake it. Now, you will bake this at 350 degrees in your oven for about 20 minutes. But keep an eye on it, because I have burned granola before, and it's not the best. You don't want it burnt. So if your oven has a tendency to cook faster, or you have dark pans and it browns up more, then just keep an eye on it. But we're going to put this in our oven here in a little bit, as soon as I get stuff in the bottom. And you want to do a nice thin layer on your cookie sheets, and you want to cover your cookie sheets with parchment paper. Otherwise it's going to stick and then you just have a mess. I have found that parchment paper works for so many things. It is a lovely addition to any kitchen. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice, oh, I need to stir a little bit more. Let's stir just a bit. Hold on. Let's try that again. So we're going to stir it up a little bit more. Make sure we get it all incorporated. I thought it was done. It wasn't. Just like any good cooking experience, this is a process of trial and error to find exactly what we like. And we eat a lot of this. It's good for snacks too. If you're not into yogurt and granola and you just want to eat granola on its own, that's fine. You could probably even make this into bars if you added a little bit more liquid so it's stuck together a little bit better, or pressed it. You can put it onto your cookie sheet and press it, and then it could possibly get into granola or granola bar format. Oops. So we want a nice thin layer. You don't want it to be too thick for granola. Now, like I said, if you're making something else, bars or something, then you do want it a little thicker, but we're just going to do a thin layer of granola and spread it out. We do stir about halfway through, so go in and kind of turn things over about 10 minutes in so that you have a nice even browning of your granola. This is looking delicious. Okay, get my other pan. It does take 2 pans, so that's what I said. This was a big batch. It is a big batch. I should make several quarts of granola. So let's see if I can't do this without making a mess. Anyone who knows me knows that I often make messes. I am not the cleanest cook, but most of what I make tastes delicious. Most of it, not all of it. But let's put some more over here. Okay, so I've got this all ready to go. Scraping all the honey and peanut butter out of the bottom of my bowl here. See, look at all these dishes I've created. Messy cook, like I said. So we've got this in a nice even layer on our cookie sheet. And then we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes. We're going to stir halfway through, and in just a short amount of time, we will have some lovely granola to go on our yogurt tomorrow morning for breakfast. Okay, it's been 3 hours or thereabouts, and our milk has come up to 185 degrees temperature. Now remember, if you are doing this at home, your crock pot may heat things a little differently, so you really do need to watch the temperature, not the time. But 3 hours is a nice little break. You can go and make your granola, you can take a nap, you can do a load of laundry, whatever you need to do. But we are ready for step 2 of our process now. So step 2 is sweetening the milk. Sweetening the milk and then letting it cool back down a little bit. So we're going to add a cup of milk or a cup of sugar. Oh gosh, cup of sugar and 2 tablespoons of vanilla in here. And then we're going to let this sit for a while until it gets down to 110 degrees. So right now it's at 185 and we want it to get down to 110. So that means it just needs to sit here, letting the sugar dissolve and absorb the vanilla until it gets down to temperature. So that's what we're going to do now. In the meantime, our granola is finished and it looks lovely. I've tested it and it's delicious. So like I told you, you had to watch your pans and you'll notice that these pans look a little different. This one was on the bottom rack, got a little browner than this one that was on the top rack, but they're equally delicious. And at this point, you could add your dried fruit. You could add your chocolate chips. You could add peanut butter chips if you were being really adventurous. And just make sure it's cool, and then you can put it in your storage jars, and it is ready to go. So that's our granola, and we'll come back to the yogurt when it gets down to a better temp. All right, we're ready for step 3 of making yogurt. It's been a few more hours, and our yogurt milk has cooled down to 110 degrees. So what we have now is our yogurt starter. This is a cup of, I guess I should have wiped this off, huh? A cup of yogurt that we had in the refrigerator. And remember, you want this because of the bacteria in it. So the bacteria in this yogurt will make our milk into yogurt. And I've also scooped out 2 cups of our warm milk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add our yogurt starter into the warm milk. And then we're going to whisk that together and then pour it back into the rest of our milk. Now, make sure that you take some milk out. You don't want to just pour your yogurt into your crock pot of warm milk. It's much better to do it like this. Now, there's also a trick. If you would like an extra thick kind of yogurt, you know, like the super Greek, really thick yogurt, you can add some powdered milk at this stage if you'd like. I've done that before. It works great. You just add it in and it helps thicken it up a little bit. So, okay, we've got our yogurt milk concoction here. We're going to pour it back into our crock pot of milk. And then we're going to put this in the oven overnight. So we're going to put it in the oven with the oven light on. We're not going to turn our oven on. We don't want a warm oven or anything like that. We just want it to stay at this 110 degrees so it will turn into yogurt. And the best way to do that, and the easiest way, is to put it in the oven with the oven light on. I have read online that you can do other things.
Look, watch.
Oh, hi. There's the little kitty who shouldn't be on the counter. You can put it in a cooler, you know, with like a towel or something around it, and to keep it warm. You could put it on top of the refrigerator because that generates heat. That's the dog in the background too. We have all kinds of animals around here tonight. But you can do all kinds of different things, but you just want it to maintain its temperature for 10 to 12 hours. So the best time to do this is at night. You want to get your timing right, and just leave it in overnight. And in the morning, it will be yogurt, and we'll see what happens then. All right, good morning, everyone. It's day 2 of making yogurt, and we could be done. If you like just a regular creamy yogurt, then all you have to do is dish this up into your containers. However, if you like a thicker Greek-style yogurt, then we have one more step for you. So our yogurt has been sitting in the oven overnight with the oven light on. We did put a paper towel over top the crock pot and just let it sit there. But you can see we now have yogurt. Look at that. It's thick, creamy, delicious. So option 1, if you want regular yogurt, you just dish this up into jars. If you want Greek yogurt, then what you need is a colander with some coffee filters in it, and we are going to strain out the whey a little bit. The whey is the liquid that comes into your yogurt. You've probably had yogurt that had like just a little bit of liquid on top of it, and you stir it up and it's all fine. There's nothing wrong with the whey at all. It's just the liquid of the milk byproduct, I guess. But it makes your yogurt a little bit thinner and a little runnier. So if you're like me and you want Greek style yogurt that's thick and creamy, then you want to strain it. So I'm gonna put this in the colander and let it strain into a bowl for a couple hours. We're gonna put this in the fridge, and then we'll see what we have after that. All right, we're on our final step of our yogurt making today. So we've had our yogurt straining in the refrigerator for several hours this afternoon, and you can see it has gone down a little bit, and we have an entire bowl full of whey. It's got a little bit of the yogurt in it, but it's mostly the whey. What do you do with whey? That's a good question. What we have done in the past is freeze it, use it in soups or as stock or something like that. You can also, during the summer, use it in your garden if you dilute it and put it around your tomatoes. It's supposed to be really good for that. So Google it, see what else you can do with whey, but there is quite a bit of it there. So that should be like a quart jar or something. So what we have left here is our thick, creamy Greek style yogurt. We're gonna put it into quart jars and store it in the fridge. This is kind of a messy process, I will tell you. It's not the neatest thing to do, but what we'll do is we'll just get it all into the jars, store it, and then it will be ready to eat for breakfast in the morning. All right, thank you for joining us for DIY homesteading at Missouri River Regional Library. This has been a pleasure to show you how to make homemade yogurt and granola. I adore this. I eat it every morning for breakfast, and I hope you will too. So our gallon of milk made us 3 quarts of yogurt, and our oats made us 5 quarts of granola. And then we have 1 quart of leftover whey that we can do with what we wish. We might put it in a casserole this evening, you never know. But the result is our thick, creamy yogurt with nice, crunchy granola on it. Let's see how it tastes. Delicious, delicious. You know, my favorite way to eat yogurt is with a little fruit flavoring in it. I love fruity yogurt. I'm a little fruity maybe, but I like to put fresh fruit in it during the summer. We freeze a lot of fruit, so during the winter we have blueberries or blackberries in the freezer you can throw in there. You can also put your homemade jams and jelly in your yogurt. So if you're like me and you've been making jelly all summer, there are some unique ways to flavor up your yogurt. I have made many jellies this summer. In fact, today I just made an apple pie jelly because we went apple picking a couple weeks ago and it had lots of apples. So I have an apple pie jelly that I think I'm going to use in my yogurt in the morning. And that's going to be delicious. I also made a cantaloupe jelly for the first time this summer. You think it sounds weird? It is our favorite now. Blueberry, grape, plum, whatever. You just experiment and find out what works best for your breakfast needs. So I hope you've joined us in making yogurt and granola, and I hope you love it as much as I do. Thank you.